on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Friday edition of the Paranormal Portal. Hope you're doing great out there. Hope you're doing wonderful. And I'm so glad you're here with me on the portal. So I am just looking at my YouTube stream. The feed looks like it's lagging a little bit, so I hope it's okay. But I think we're all connected here and good to go. And you made it to Friday. The week is over. It's all, I don't know, martinis and lawn chairs now. I don't know if the weather really supports that yet, but it's a thought that counts. So I'm just keeping track of this, and I think we're doing good. Everybody hearing me okay? If you are, please let me know. I don't know what the hell's up with that, but I'm going to refresh that page quick because got to keep the show going. And hope everything's going good in your world. We are, it was a good week. Don and I had a really good stream on Wednesday. Things are going good. I had a little paranormal occurrence here at the house. The Paranormal Portal studios, of course, are right in my house, and so that's always fine. I mean, I can't beat the commute. It's pretty awesome. But we were done with the show on Wednesday, and I don't know, I was hanging out with my wife and little one because his sleep schedule's all screwed up, and we were just finally gearing up to go to bed around midnight, and we're all downstairs, including the cat, and I'm just happened to go to the bathroom, which is near the stairway coming down because the studio's on the second floor, along with a little playroom for my son. And I'm down at the bottom of the stairs, and all of a sudden I hear his toy helicopter upstairs start going off by itself, and it's one of those ones that talks. And he goes, "Copy, I'm coming in." And I was like, oh, that's creepy. But true story. I don't know what it was signifying, but needless to say, I've saged the house since then, and everything feels fine. But it was just really odd. I was like, oh, are you kidding me? I just happened to be there. It didn't go off after that. It didn't go off before that I'm aware of. But I went upstairs and found it, and I made, to see where it was, and it was in his toy box, so it wasn't like it was rustled. The cat was downstairs as well. And I jumped around on the floor and stuff to see if maybe it was a vibration, because we have a train tracks that are near here, and they can sometimes make the house do a little vibrate and stuff. But I'm jumping outside of the toy box and stuff, and nothing. It's not doing anything. So it was pretty creepy, but I don't know. I guess it was also funny. So I was like, oh, that's creepy, but I laughed. I thought it was humorous. So perfect timing, and for whatever it means, I don't know, but it's pretty cool, I guess. So hope everything's going good in your world, and thanks, of course, for being here. We are live on tfrlive.com. We are live on iHeart. We are live on TuneIn and TalkStream, and we are also streaming live on YouTube. So if you want to see me doing the portal that I'm doing right now, you can head over to youtube.com/paranormalportal. But if you're not already a member, please stop over at tfrlive.com and /paranormalportal. And on the right-hand side, you can see a way to sign up on tfrlive.com and become a member. And it certainly helps support the TFR Live network, but it also helps us hosts and helps keep the lights on here on the network. And it also gives you access to commercial-free, unlimited downloads of not only the Paranormal Portal, but any other show that's on the TFR Live network. And there's some amazing shows here, so definitely check it out, but also go over to youtube.com if you haven't already and subscribe to the Paranormal Portal channel. Would really like it. The numbers are really climbing. It's just really been getting exciting, but I want it to get bigger and bigger because bigger is better. And the more people that hear about paranormal, the better. So if you do that, I would be very obliged. So tonight, before I go much further here, I want to start out with some listener emails. I'm sorry I haven't really had a chance to look at the chat room too much, but let me see if I missed anything here. Looking through the messages, nope, I haven't missed anything there or there. Okay, so I'm going to head to some listener emails now. Don, I know you're out there listening. I can see on the YouTube. I don't remember what listener it was that was asking if that had gotten her email, and I just need you to try to remember who that was, because I still have not seen an email come through from that person, and I'm going to read the 2 emails that we did get right now, but I do apologize. I think her name was Christy. If you're out there and listening, I don't know why your email's not making it to us, But please try again. I'd love to receive your story and to read it on the air as well. And if you get it in yet today or tomorrow, I'll read it either today or tomorrow. But it's paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. So please make sure that that's right. Check your spam folder. Check your any other folders to see if it got stuck maybe. I don't know. But I really feel bad because I know she was excited to have us read the story, but I haven't seen it yet. So anyway, I'm going to start with the stories that we have got. And the one I'm going to read you tonight is from a listener that goes by the name of Uriah. And she emailed into the show, and I'm really excited to read her story. It's really pretty cool. And I hope you guys enjoy it. But anyway, let me lean in because I don't know what this is with Gmail font, but it's like 2-point font or something. So I'm gonna read this if I can. Let me see. Time to get to the reason I emailed you. I can say I have had a handful of paranormal experiences that really, really tripped me out, but the one I will never forget is when I was in high school living with my mom. It was 2014, and at the time I lived with my mom and brother in beach town called Navarre. Oh, it's Nuvar. She did a phonetic pronunciation. I love you for that. Thank you. She did it in parentheses like this. Nuvar is what it looks like. Florida. It's on the panhandle of Florida between Pensacola and Destin. To give a backdrop, I was a senior. It was my senior year in Nuvar High School, and it was Friday night. My best friend at the time, W, and I were sitting in my room, not doing much, just messing around with our phones and cracking jokes. And my younger brother, 14 years old, overheard us and came into the room to say, "What's up?" We chatted with him for a bit, nothing serious. We talked a bit, and then out of nowhere, I get the lovely idea to play a joke on my brother. Wicked. I looked at my little brother and I told him I had seen a ghost in the house the night before. His eyes grew big and he asked if I was serious. I said, "Hell yeah," and looked at W and gave her a look that I wasn't serious. After that, I began to describe to my brother a woman that I didn't see. I told him I seen her on the previous night when I was sleeping in bed and woke up. I said she was all black, had short hair, and vanished when I saw her. By the time I ended telling all the details to the fake story, I looked up at my brother standing between my door, and he looked slightly pale and was slightly shaking. Crazy thing is, we're both black, so that tripped me out. But, I suppose it'd be a little different to see pale. But I ended the story. My brother was completely freaked out. Once I realized I told him I was joking, I gave him he gave a huge sigh of relief. After he calmed down, we all resumed normal chat, and my brother ended up going to his room minutes later, but I could tell he was still shaken up a bit. I felt bad about it and wanted to tell him sorry again, but I never got around to it that night. After my brother headed to his room, W ended up leaving about 30 minutes later. Little did I know that later that night I was actually going to be the one slightly pale. Ooh. Fast forward to later that night, and I was laying on my bed, trying to fall asleep around 12-ish, with my Family Guy playing on my TV. I was watching Family Guy through Netflix, so I had episodes playing back to back. I got to learn how to do that too, Uriah. Let me know, because I can only seem to get one episode at a time rolling on that deal. So, I don't know. I'm a little tech challenged sometimes. That's a very important piece of information for the story, and you will hear why soon. As I was laying in bed watching the show, I ended up falling asleep on it. Nothing out of the ordinary, because I usually do that. But here's where the story gets interesting. As I was sleeping, I randomly woke up like I usually do at night, and more often than not, it's because my body wants some water, but when I woke up this time, it was something different. When I woke up, I didn't notice anything at first. When my eyes finally adjusted, they instantly focused on a woman, all in black, intently staring at me as she stands to the right of my TV. In the first split seconds, I questioned in my mind if my mom was standing in the room, and as soon as I said that, I realized the being had a ponytail pulled to the back like my mom, but its hair was cut kind of short in a way that it sent a chill signal through my body because it confirmed that it wasn't her. As I stared at her, I wondered why she was there, and it hit me. It's because of the story I told my brother. She was staring at me because I scared the hell out of my little brother, and she didn't approve of it. After I came to this realization, she breaks her gaze, turns and begins to glide/walk past the front of my TV, which is playing Family Guy. As she walks past the TV, she blocked the screen light from the TV as she passed. I promise you, man, as she is walking, she walks around my bed to where my head is the closest, and then she walked through the wall right in front of me. When she disappears, the first thing I think is to run and get my mom, but I instantly realize that the ghost lady walked through the wall that leads to the living room, and to get to my mom's room, I have to go through the living room, which is extra dark already. So I said never mind to that idea. I laid in bed another 30 minutes before I fell back to sleep and woke up the next morning. I told my mom everything, thinking she was going to say, let's skip town, but she looked at me with wide eyes and says, I'm going to print some Bible verses for you. After she printed them, I read them before I went to sleep the next couple of nights. Later, I told my brother I was sorry for messing with him with his head like that and wouldn't have to worry about me doing anything like that again. After this experience, I've learned 2 valuable lessons. Never play with the paranormal, and karma is a bitch. And she and I corresponded back and forth about this. Now, the interesting thing is the dialogue we've been having was, I'm curious as to whether or not her description of this ghost was vivid enough, and then her brother's fear created enough energy for this thing to manifest. So was it something that was created at that time just because of that energy, or was she psychically picking up on something in her subconscious of a presence in that house? And so very cool. I mean, I don't know. It's just a really great story, and thank you so much, Uriah, for sending that in and letting me read that on the air. I'm absolutely honored, and I'm absolutely thrilled that you're, Christy's emails came in. Good. All right. Just now. Fantastic. But I'm absolutely thrilled that you're listening to the show, and thank you so much. And so I guess we have more emails to go through, but I also had another one from Lady Death. All right. So this is another one. And let's see what she's got. Oh, man, this is even smaller font. I got to bring my glasses up here. I swear to God. I usually only need them for driving, but apparently I need them for listener emails, too. I was 17, living in Lafayette, Louisiana, and staying at my boyfriend's house. He was at work, and his dad was working out of town. The house was really big, and I always felt like someone angry was standing right behind you. I remember the house had windows like the Amityville Horror House, as well as wooden doors that reminded me of an old funeral parlor. I remember lowering the blinds in the kitchen and then walking out to the back patio to smoke a cigarette. All the while, I'm just feeling completely spooked out. I go back into the house and walk by the kitchen. The blinds were all the way up, and when I say up, I do not mean open. I mean that they were up, and the cord was wound all the way around the hook on the wall. This is probably a 6-foot cord. Next thing I know, I'm running out of the house barefoot. I hurry and call my best friend to come and get me. I begin to walk up and down the street while making her stay on the phone with me. When she got there, I asked her, "Will you go with me to get my shoes?" She chuckled and said, "Come on." My shoes were upstairs in the bedroom, and I can remember holding the back of her shirt all the way up the stairs. I can't remember if I even stopped to put my shoes on, but I know we both scurried quickly out of the house. After leaving, she agreed with me that the house felt creepy. Yeah, that is creepy. Just the blinds went all the way up. Boom. So they were down when she went out, came in, and they were all the way up and wound around the hook. Now, that's actually a very impressive manifestation for sure. I mean, and we've discussed this on the show. Having something move, like let's say a pop can tips over or something, is just a very awkward motion. But for something to move so concisely, to pull the blinds, to tie them off by looping the cord around and around the hook, that's a very intricate amount of movement, and that would require a hell of a lot of energy. So very impressive. And thank you, lady, for always being there and always and always supporting the show and for sending in your accounts. That's amazing. And Christy, I do have to say, I'm sorry I haven't had a chance to read this before, but before the show, because I like to read them before the show to get an idea of what they say, because I'm, reading them on the air. I don't want to screw them up for you. But let me look at this quick. All right. Okay. So she sent in 2 of them, but okay. I saw my mother that had passed away last year. She asked me how I was, and I asked the same. She looked out of the window and said my stepfather was coming soon. I went to see him the next day, and he had fallen ill. The next day, I got a call. He had passed away. Wow. And this just apparently happened last month. That is absolutely amazing. Just love these stories when you guys send them in. And this is another one. I was taking a nap and started dreaming, and I was in a hallway and saw my mother that had passed away 4 years ago. She was sitting in a recliner next to a window, and she asked me how I was doing, and I said fine, and asked her the same. Oh, okay, so this is her sending the same story, I think. But let me read this because it's got more to it. Then she looked out the window and looked back at me. Then she said that my stepfather was on his way there. I said, really? She said he would be there any minute. I told her that I was going to get a pizza and would be back. Then I woke up. I told my husband about the dream and told him that I wanted to go see my stepfather right then. He wanted me to wait until the next day, but he took me anyway. When we got there, his nurse said that he hadn't been feeling good all day. When I saw him, I told him that I saw Mama in a dream, and he said that was funny. He's been dreaming of her too. The next day, I got a phone call from his nurse that he had passed away. My husband doesn't think I was dreaming. He thinks it was real. What do you all think? When I see her in the dreams, she looked younger, and when she died, she was 87. She looked about 40 in the dream, too. I believe wholeheartedly that what you experienced was a paranormal experience. I have a similar experience, actually. My grandmother lived right next door to us when I was growing up, and really she was more of like another mother to me. I mean, I was always at her house and always seeing her, and spent, like, when I was a kid, I didn't go hang out with friends. I went and hung out with Grandma. I just had such a nice time over there, and really enjoyed being there. And she lived to be probably about the same in her 80s, but she had dementia and really wasted away. And it was really tragic to see her go that way. But after she died, I don't know, it must have been a while after she died, maybe a period of just a few months, or maybe less, maybe more. I don't know. I can't remember now because it's been a few years ago, but I dreamt that I was sitting in her living room and she was there, and she sat on the footstool in front of me. I was sitting on the couch and she sat on the footstool, and she sat there. And when she first came in, she was her old self that I knew. And then she got progressively younger as I looked at her. Her face changed, her skin smoothed and became firm, and suddenly her hair went from white to dark brown, and and she became just this beautiful woman, and I was like, wow. Now, let me also add that I had never seen a picture of my grandma before she was older. She always had, this, I don't know why, but they kind of did their hair. She always did her hair in a kind of a purple color, and not because it was trendy or cool, but old ladies back then used to do that. And not the cool purple like a lot of older ladies are doing now, which is really cool. It was more of a subdued purple bluish thing. And it looked nice, don't get me wrong, but I'd never seen her without that. As she got younger and her hair got darker, I saw her, and she became just this beautiful young woman. And she said, I just want you to know that I'm fine, and please let everybody know that I'm wonderful. Everything is great. And then she said, you can tell your Uncle Jim, but he won't believe you anyway, because my uncle is an absolute skeptic about anything, doesn't believe in much of anything as far as spirituality is concerned. And then I woke up. Now, it was probably 6 or 8 months later after that I saw pictures my mom had finally dug up about, her family. And it showed pictures of my grandma when she was little, and I was like, that was her. That's what she looked like. And it was, I believed it was a very real experience as well. So I have no doubt that that's what you experienced, and it's very profound that it was also giving you a message about what was coming. So I think it's a very incredible experience. But you guys in the chat room can certainly pipe in. I will have to start looking at it, I suppose, for that to. But I'm sure everyone will agree. Yeah. Julia says, yes, that's real. I saw my mom who passed away when I was like 7. I saw her the night of prom. Oh, very cool, Julia. Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. So thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it. Oh, Naga, how you doing, brother? Haven't seen you for a while. He's in the TFR live chat. But, all right. So those are the stories to start out with. Now we got about 5 minutes left, and I wanted to do some stories tonight, and it's not going to be the whole show, but I thought these were really cool. But what I found was a series of stories that have to do with paranormal experience increasing or coming around when women were pregnant with their children. And I thought that was really interesting because, of course, when you think of pregnancy, there's so much hormonally and physically going on with these women giving birth or about to give birth or preparing to give birth. So much absolutely amazing changes. And I think pregnancy is a very beautiful thing, and it's an amazing thing. I saw all 3 of my children born, and I cried like a baby at every one of them. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever witnessed. It was just, and I realize it doesn't seem fitting to use this word, but it was a miracle. All 3 times, it was just a miracle. I just thought it was the most incredible thing ever. But you think about that, it's like this bump forms, and it's another life, and it's forming and growing and developing, and it becomes this person someday. It's just going to come out as a person. And this little beautiful, absolutely vulnerable, pure soul. And it's just amazing and wonderful. So as this is happening, it kind of makes sense to me that paranormal activity may increase. And is that because of these physical changes are creating psychic projections into the world that are causing these things to come around, or are they projections or creations of the people that are pregnant? I don't pretend to know that, and that's all fair game to think about. And maybe as Ian likes to tell me, all of the above. I should let you guys know too that the call-in board does work tonight, so if you'd like to call in, I certainly welcome hearing from you guys. And the show number is 213-233-3998. Again, 213-233-3998. And so we'll get into some of these stories after the first break, which is just coming up right around the corner here. But we'll get that first break out of the way, and then we'll dive into it. And then I just got a bunch of great paranormal stories lined up that I'm looking forward to sharing with you as well. But very, very phenomenal idea that perhaps pregnancy just is this amazing, I don't know, that it just creates a shift. Because the idea of this new life just coming from the beyond and created into this one little space, it's got to be an amazing psychic impression that happens there. I don't know. I guess it's a new phenomenon to me because I'd never considered it. But as I was doing some research, I stumbled across these stories, and I'm like, that makes sense to me. That makes sense that there could be, a heightened paranormal activity around pregnant women. Now, I think a lot of times, because of all those hormonal changes, because of the physical changes, because of all that's going on with them, they probably experience a lot of things, but they just say, to themselves, they probably just, no, it's just the pregnancy. I'm just, it's kind of like morning sickness. Suddenly you can't eat certain foods. Like my wife now became pretty much a strict vegetarian / fruitarian for the first 3 months of her pregnancy. And, that's fine. I mean, I certainly didn't mind, but I was worried about the protein a little bit. But, and so are there other fundamental changes going on with her and her aura that she didn't tell me? Well, I don't know. I guess I'll have to ask her, but I think it's worth exploring. It's worth checking into. But again, if you want to call in and be a part of the show tonight, 213-233-3998. And if you're calling from the UK, it's 203, or 44203-393-2871. 44203-393-2871. And to let you guys know some upcoming show stuff that I want you to be aware of. On the 3rd, April 3rd, Duncan Campbell's going to be joining us here on the portal. Tomorrow night, I got Mr. Naysay, Kevin Shores, joining Don and I, and we'll be talking about spiritual protections and such with the Native American element that Naysay will give us an education about spiritual protecting and how to handle it with the rise in what seems to be the rise of negative entities and stuff. So we'll get into that tomorrow night. Some more shows that I'll announce when we come back. But don't go away. We're going to take our break, and I will return with more of the Paranormal Portal. Oh, Uriah, I'm so sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, I owe Uriah an apology. I had identified Uriah or made reference to as a woman, and unfortunately Uriah is a guy. I don't know. I don't know how I came to that conclusion, and I certainly apologize. I don't ever mean to misrepresent people, so I hope you can forgive me. I don't know. Sorry about that. But my apologies. Uriah is a guy, but your story's still very powerful and wonderful, and no matter what you identify as. But that's my mistake. I do apologize. So anyway, welcome back to the Paranormal Portal. We are here burning the night away, and you're here with me, and that makes me so happy. And I'm just looking to see how many of you are here. Wow, 3,184 on TFR, 982 iHeart, 1,800 of you. Tune in, 240 of you, and the phone lines, 162. So there are 3,184 souls listening to the sound of my voice, which makes me humble as hell. Thank you so much. Uriah says, "You're good, bro." He said his girlfriend thought it was hilarious too. I don't know. I'm not sure what the hell was going on there. I think I stroked out a little bit or something, but what do you do? If Don was here, he would have thrown a shoe at me or something to get me. What? Oh, sorry. He would have corrected me much sooner, but unfortunately I can't watch the chats when I'm doing all this other legwork, so my apologies. But anyway, I'm glad you're laughing, and thanks again, brother, for the stories. That's fantastic. But let's see. Wow, what? What are you saying wow to, Don? All right, let me get to these stories. So tonight we're going to talk about stories of paranormal pregnancies. First of all, I'm going to get through some of these stories. I think they're pretty cool. I wanted to point out Deb Varner, who's also our Paranormal Portal psychic, had a remark regarding the pregnancy and is there an increase of psychic energy or whatever during that, and she had a great point. She said, imagine the baby you are carrying, it was a gifted soul in a past life, and then they carry that over to the new life coming for them. We can and do bring things with us from our past lives. That's a very interesting point. So yeah, if there was energies or deals going on from the past life, is it a karmic attachment or whatever? Yeah, that's a great point. Thanks for doing that. Thanks for pointing that out, Deb. Love to hear your input and any of your inputs on these things. With the paranormal, any idea or theory is just as valid as the next one. So, all right. As my pregnancy moved further along, the more activity I noticed. Most nights I would be startled awake, yelling from what I assume were nightmares. But eventually these nightmares took a more distinct form. I started to wake up during the night and see strange figures pacing around my bed. One night in particular, a long, flowing, white figure with black, empty, swirling eyes entered our room from the living room and drifted toward my side of the bed. Out of fear, I turned towards my boyfriend, who was fast asleep. As I lay there, with my eyes plastered open, wondering what to do next, the figure glided slowly around the bed and toward my boyfriend before vanishing in midair. Ooh, that's all kinds of spooky, huh? I'm going to blow up this font a little bit. No, never mind, a lot. I blew it up to 125%. Even I can read it now, ladies and gentlemen. The next one is 4 months into the pregnancy, I decided to start on the spare bedroom, turning it into a nursery. My first concern was that it was always cold in there. I had seals put on the window and heavy blinds, hoping it was just some breeze coming in, but it made no difference. I think it was around this time that the rest of the house started to come alive as well. Doors on the cupboards would be open when I walk into the kitchen. Bedroom wardrobes would be open, and even clothes off the hangers inside. The TV would turn on when I would be outside. Yeah, that's terrible. Now, that's the whole story. That's the whole account. But generally, ladies and gentlemen, if you're ever working on a room and you notice it's always cold in there, pick a different room. That's never a good sign. Those cold spots are always a bad sign. If it never seems to warm up or never feels comfortable, there's probably a reason. So it was probably someone else's room that wasn't quite done with it yet. But word to the wise. The next one is the night demon. Ever since I've been pregnant, I've been having terrible dreams. Like many other pregnant women, however, I have been waking up every night between 3 and 4 a.m., often feeling uneasy with the sense that I'm being watched. Yeah, I know it sounds silly. I had a dream last night that I was awakened in the middle of the night to a demon, half human, half goat, licking my feet. I woke up and saw nothing there, which is good because that's the kind of thing that you want to just be a dream. That's not the kind of thing you want to wake up and find actually this man goat licking your feet. Or woman goat. I'm not trying to jump to conclusions, but it did say half human, didn't say half man. So humanoid shape. It was about 3 months pregnant at the time. I had just turned off the light, and my eyes did their usual wander randomly at things in the room, which helps me fall asleep. But this night, my gaze was drawn to the center of the room. About 2 feet from where I lay, and there I saw, or thought I saw, a patch of air that seemed thicker or darker than the rest. I am quite curious by nature, so I stared at it more intently, and then realized that it was in a humanoid shape. I felt myself suddenly overcome by fear, and I moved quickly to flick on the lamp. My partner and I saw the figure countless other times, always standing immobile in the center of the room, and to my recollection, always accompanied by feelings ranging from creeped out to absolutely petrified, though there was never much of a feeling of it during the day. And the last one on this list is the day I returned home from the hospital after I lost my twins at 17 weeks pregnant. That's terrible. I'm sorry to hear that. My dog Darla was acting very strange. She stood in the center of our living room while I sat on the couch, and she looked up at the ceiling. There was nothing on the ceiling. She was just staring. After about a minute in, my mother, who had stayed with us throughout the ordeal, cried and said that Darla was saying goodbye to the babies up in heaven. Our dog continued to stare up at nothing for almost 10 minutes. She has never again done anything like this. Wow. That is just deep. I'm going to think of a link here. Oh, wow. All right, now I got another one of these to read, and I'm going to check a link as well. But I just wanted to mention again, tomorrow night, Nace is going to be on the show. We're going to be going over some spiritual protections and things that you can do from the Native American faith that may help you or someone you love. And again, that'll be tomorrow night with Don and I. And March 3rd, Duncan Campbell will be rejoining us here on the portal. And yeah. And then Dan Pruitt will be rejoining us on the 21st of April. I just got confirmation from him just before showtime tonight. So he'll be rejoining us. And then Deb Varner will be returning on April 28th to be doing readings, call-in readings to listeners of the show. So definitely mark your calendars for all of those dates. But if you would want a reading, Deb's really amazing, and she does a phenomenal job. And I just can't recommend her enough, and I know that many, many people that have had her readings that I've been in contact with are always going on and on about how dead on she was and how it really helped. And so just food for thought, ladies and gentlemen, but that's some upcoming dates of things going on here in the portal. So that's all I got for now, but as other things solidify, I'll be sure to let you know. So this is another paranormal pregnancy story. I found out that I was pregnant about August 11th, 2012. I'm around 14 weeks pregnant right now, and I have had some creepy, unnatural things happening to me, and I don't believe that I am imagining them. I have had a few encounters with spirits or ghosts before, and so has my boyfriend, the father of the baby, and I feel that since the baby has both sides of the family vulnerable to ghosts, I am more susceptible to it now that I am pregnant. I have been hearing voices and seeing faces of dead children, and I have had dreams, or rather nightmares, of some woman trying to kill my child. Eesh. My boyfriend told me that he had had a dream of the same woman, and she was doing a ritual in a basement, and she was pregnant and going on about how it will work this time, but never explaining what it was. I am scared because I wake up with cuts on my body sometimes after these dreams, as well as my lamp. This is 5 feet from my bed, fell on top of my head when it wasn't even close to me. I just feel that something evil is after my child. Either that or I'm going crazy. I really need help, an opinion, or something. What I should do to help prevent this. I am scared for my life and my child's life, and I have some theories that the woman is trying to steal my child and use it for evil purposes, or reincarnate her child as my own child and be something evil. Yet I honestly don't know what it is. I don't know. That is why I have come here, for a little more clarity, or for someone that maybe has been in the same situation. I'm very scared and I need help. Unfortunately, this was from 2012, so nothing we can do, but hope everything went well. Ay. I know that's the problem for a lot of people going through paranormal things. It's hard to know what to do. It's hard to know where to turn. It's hard to know who can help or how to help. And so I'm hoping that something we can do on the Paranormal Portal is give people information or instruction on things that they can do. And I know that's discussions we've had with Deb when she's been on, is how to, things like crystals and other manners to protect yourself. And we'll get into a little more of that tomorrow night with Naysay. But yeah, any and all advices about that are certainly welcome. And of course, if you're going through something paranormal and don't know what to do, please reach out to us here on the portal, and I'll do what I can to help you, of course, but I will also get you in touch with people that can help you, that may be in your area or may be more geared to assist you in better ways than I can. But again, the email for the show is paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. And I've been able to help a few people, which has been really marvelous. And we hopefully can continue that as well with the show. And why not, right? I know I've got people that have called in and been part of the show as well that have offered their services to help people in need. So if you need help, let me know, and I will do what I can to get you in touch with somebody that can help you. If you just want to share with me what's going on or tell me a few stories, then definitely email me as well, and I'll share your stories on the air. So those are the spooky pregnancy type stories. And again, it's a phenomena that I guess stands to reason with all of the creative energy and, I don't know, this life coming into being from seemingly nothing. I mean, of course, I believe the souls come from somewhere or have been somewhere before or whatever, but the whole birth thing is quite an amazing event. So the fact that paranormal activity would ramp up during that doesn't at all surprise me. I guess I'm surprised that I hadn't heard more about it before this, other than Rosemary's Baby or something like that. But, I mean, that's a Hollywoodization. Some people, I don't know if that was supposed to be based on a true story or not, but in any case, it stands to reason. I'll just leave it there. So I hope you guys are enjoying the show, and I hope you're getting something out of it. Excuse me. Over the break, I'll look into these other things that I turned up and see. Oh, yeah, there's a bunch more here. I guess I could read these as well, and we'll just carry these through to the break. And then I'll start off with some other paranormal stuff. That's one I've already read. Okay, hold on. Okay, this is a different one. We have been having some strange occurrences going on around here, specifically the strong scent of flowers out of nowhere, and Sadie, our chihuahua, going ballistic and staring at nothing. Well, at least nothing we can see anyways. It has happened several times in the last few months. Almost every night between 3 and 4 a.m., Sadie starts staring at different parts of the house. One spot on different nights, and starts barking wildly. The only thing that I can think of that has changed is my wife is pregnant. Yeah, that would be a pretty big change. Now, I would like to say that I've heard some stories that would seem to suggest expecting parents being haunted by children that they believe were their yet to be born children. In other words, they'll see these little children running through the house and not sure what's going on, and it's nothing malicious. It's just, more, I don't know, more rambunctious, I guess. Just these kids running through giggling. They can see them sometimes, and then they have said that later, after their children were born and grew, that they recognized the child they became because that was the same child that was running around their house before it was born. So, I don't know. Maybe they're in a hurry. They just want to get going, get a head start. I don't know what you all think about that, but you'll have to let me know if you want to email me. Let me know what you think of the whole pregnancy and paranormal things. Oh, we actually have a call. Why don't we go to that? All right. 334, you're on the air. No, you're not. You disconnected. I guess we lost the call. I'm going to leave the call board up so I can see it. All right, I'm going to carry on to the next story. I am pregnant with my second child. During my first pregnancy, I was forever being woken up at 3 a.m. to TVs, radios, and toys being turned on by themselves. After I had my daughter, it all stopped. Now I am pregnant again. Small things are happening to make me think it's a starting again. The other day I got chills on my arm in the shape of fingers. And last night, right before I fell asleep, something flicked my hand. Eesh. Creepy. As my pregnancy moved further along, the more activity I noticed. Most nights I would be startled awake, yelling from what I assume were nightmares. Wait, this is one I already read. I think there's one more. Nope, I read that one. Never mind. I just, again, ladies and gentlemen, that's the problem with paranormal stories, is they get repeated all over the place. So, and that call did disconnect. So I'm sorry, caller, if you were on the hold for a long time. I didn't see you there, but when I did, I tried to get to your call. So if you want to call back, I'll get you on the air. Unless they were looking for the caller listener line. If you're listening or looking for the listener line, it's 641-793-7117. Excuse me. Ugh. All right, so what was I going to do? I was going to read those stories till the break, but no, that's not going to work since there's so many repeats in there. So we're going to get to some other paranormal activity stories and see what you guys think of these. I am the oldest of 6 kids. One passed away as an infant. My 2 younger sisters and one of my younger brothers used to like to push their mattresses together on the floor downstairs on the weekends and watch movies or sleep. My youngest brother still slept in his crib upstairs as he was still too young to roam the house at night, as we had 2 staircases leading to the basement that he could easily fall down. This one sounds familiar. I think I've read this before, ladies and gentlemen. Ugh. One evening, as my sisters and brothers were about to fall asleep watching a movie, my youngest brother appeared at the bottom of the stairs. I startled them awake and confused them as he should have been in his bedroom sleeping. They asked him what he was doing, and he just smiled, then turned around and ran around the corner to the staircase. My sister followed, but when she reached the bottom of the staircase, he wasn't there. It wasn't possible. The kid had to climb stairs on all 4s still, and it took him minutes to climb. It took him minutes to climb them. Sorry, I just saw a call come in. I'm going to get to that call in just a second. Confused, my sister ran upstairs and asked my parents what my little brother was doing downstairs. They checked on him, and he was fast asleep in bed. All 3 of my brothers and sisters cried hysterically that night because they knew what they saw, and it didn't make sense. And they still swear by it today. All right, so let's go to our call. All right, 310, you're on the air.
Hi, Brent. It's just Ian again. Sorry, I feel like I call you too often.
You're like my Friday co-host.
I'm sorry. If I bother you guys, just let me know. Just say, Sean, you can't call in for a month.
No, it's absolutely fantastic.
I have 2 stories to share with you.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
And Okay, well, the first one, neither of these actually happened to me, but the first one actually happened to my mother. They moved, my mother and father, she's English, he's Cuban, were still living with the family members that had come over and escaped from Cuba in California. And the first place they moved into, which this didn't last very long, was a house over near the 405 freeway near Hawthorne Boulevard. Now, if you track it on Google, you'll be able to see it. I'm not going to tell you exactly where, but the house doesn't exist anymore for reasons that are going to be obvious to everybody. As soon as they moved into the house, my grandmother started having all kinds of problems. She was already dealing with going through cancer treatments for uterine cancer. Ooh. And they had already taken out her uterus, and they were giving her chemo, and it just switched to radiation because the chemo was not doing her so well. Mm-hmm. Heavy things started magically just ramming her in the head. Oh, geez. They would drop off of things. Heavy things that were properly affixed with. My father and my grandfather were fetishistic about making sure that nothing could come off when they realized they'd moved to from hurricane country to earthquake country. Wow. And so they made sure that nothing could just suddenly fall off a wall, but things just kept falling off and slamming into her head. And as soon as my mother found out she was pregnant, her problems suddenly manifested. She was pregnant with my sister. And I'm the youngest in the family, just so everybody knows. My sister and I are about 5 years apart.
Gotcha.
So she started having her own problems in that her asthma went from being nothing to all of a sudden she had to walk everywhere with a rescue inhaler in her left hand, and in her back pocket the Primatene inhaler, if you ever remember, was basically inhalable ephedrine in order to be able to breathe. Right. Now, my aunts had been doing their normal thing, which was trying to bless the house repeatedly because they could sense something was there, and nothing worked. Nothing stuck. Nothing took, and so they just kept up what they were doing. And my mother was griping at them because they were always burning incense, and she was blaming that as for the reason why she couldn't breathe, which had never bothered her before. Mm-hmm. My father was working on making some new furniture. He was really handy, and was making a chaise lounge for my mom to be able to lay on so that she would have something to take the weight off of her lower back, because she was beginning to also get massive pains through her lower back. This woman had dealt with being thrown off of motorcycles. She had been hit by, we're talking, she's tough. So all of a sudden now her lower back is beginning to go crazy, and she's only 2 months along. Mm. And my dad, as he's building this chaise lounge, he's on his knees and one hand with a hammer in his right hand, and he sees a pair of boots suddenly walk into his field of vision. So he snaps his look up, and as he's trailing up the pants, he sees the jeans, he sees a buckle, fairly large buckle with a monogram, and then poof, the person disappears. This happens a couple more times, not just as he's making the chaise lounge, but as he's doing stuff with trying to repair carpeting, etc. He sees the boots moving into his field of vision, turns to looks, sees that monogram belt, and poof, the person's gone. Wow. My aunts ramp up what they're trying to do to get rid of this thing, and it just doesn't help. My grandmother, this one evening, was taken away to the hospital in an ambulance because a very heavy wall mount that never went back up on the wall again, ever, popped off of this long 4-inch nail that was driven into the wall and smashed her in the head and gave her stitches on the left side of her skull. Wow. So my dad decided he wanted to ask some people in the neighborhood if they had any idea what was going on, and actually went over to a neighbor that had not been around for about 4 or 5 months because he'd been living in, he said Colorado. And as the weather was changing, I believe he comes back for the summertime in order to be able to enjoy the surf here in California. Mm-hmm. And so he was asking questions and then in conversation, and asked if he knew about any kind of issues with the house. And he said, "Oh yeah, the guy, the house you were living in, he killed himself there." Oh. He absolutely friggin' hated his mother. He hated her with a passion. Oh. He actually overdosed in the house after having had this riotous argument with her, and came from a rich family. I was not told the name of the family. I was not allowed to comment on that either. I'd like to ask which family was this, but apparently it was one where the mother really had been massively abusive to the child, and he killed himself in there, and asked, what does this guy's name start with? And he asked him about the monogram on the buckle, and he said, yeah, his first name was, and said, told him was the same as the monogram on the buckle.
That's amazing.
And so they moved out within 5 days of that. They never looked back. And as soon as they left the house, my mother could breathe again. Her back got better, and things stopped magically ramming themselves into my grandmother's head.
Well, I'm glad it came to a good resolution. Now, hold on. We're going to take a break. Ian, just wait, and we'll be right back, and we'll continue on with your second story. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Paranormal Portal. Don't go away.
Hi, everyone.
Play their games. Everybody loves to place their bets. They don't understand the price I paid. They don't care to comprehend. Trace their lines upon my body, dripping scars across my heart. Raging anger pours inside me, and their lies keep falling apart. With my silence, I am not a stupid boy. No more breaking me with kindness, just you dance upon my joy. Leading me with empty promise, you're just another fucking mess. Taking off the slice of my sanity, just make sure that you're well fed.
Heavy Masonic influence.
This looks extraordinarily bad.
They linger in a perpetual dream state, a nightmare from which they cannot wake. I can't see you, Mommy. Where are you? I've never sensed anything like it. Carol Ann is not like those she's with. They're attracted to the one thing about her that is different from themselves. Her life force. It is very strong. It gives off its own illumination. It is a light that implies life and memory of love and home and earthly pleasures. Something they desperately desire, but can't have anymore. Right now, she's the closest thing to that.
Poltergeists are usually associated with an individual. Hauntings seem to be connected with an area. A house, usually.
Poltergeist disturbances are fairly short duration, perhaps a couple of months. Hauntings can go on for years.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Paranormal Portal. I am your host, Brent Thomas, and we're moving through this Friday night. Hope you guys are having a great time, great evening, and hope you're enjoying the show. And right now we're in the middle of a phone call with Ian, who is explaining a couple of ghost stories that he has had happen, or happened that he's aware of. So, Ian, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, sir. I'll let you continue.
Okay, well, the next one actually had to do with a family that I had to rescue from issues that followed them, and followed them because of a pregnancy, actually several pregnancies. I can't mention their names. They did give me permission, but their conscience will not allow.
Okay.
However, what they dealt with was actually something beyond the scope of anything that I think that I would have imagined would have stuck to an area so close to a body of water. Essentially, what had occurred was they lived in a home that nobody ever stayed there longer than a month.
Wow.
They didn't even question why the rent was half normal, especially for a resort area.
Yeah,
they just,
we're usually a good sign
because we're short on cash.
That's usually a good sign.
Nothing ever starts good when you start off saying that, does it? You never hear a story that starts off, yeah, they lived happily ever after because the rent was half price.
No.
Never starts that way.
Nope.
And so what happened was they began to live in this home, which was right based off of a lake, and started noticing really weird things happening. Mm-hmm. This gentleman's wife became pregnant, and all of a sudden the little things that would happen around the house began to focus on her. And she was pregnant with twins, by the way. And during the night, she would feel as if she was being stared at, watched, sometimes things sitting on the bed, almost as if to get a better look at her. But this isn't where it ended. No, not even by a half measure. Things began to, as she would walk, she could hear footsteps behind her. At night, she would go to bed, go to sleep, while her husband would stay up to watch. And he was awake and she woke up as this thing lifted up the covers to get a look at her belly. Literally lifted it into the air.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that was that. And he's there with a shotgun in his hand thinking that this has got to be something physical that's going on. Mm-hmm. And I was just so grateful that he didn't just decide to take a test blast and things go awry.
Yeah, that's not good. I hear you, brother.
Yeah,
that's
after
scary.
the kids were born, things got worse. The things then began to focus on the kids, began following the kids. In fact, anything that got between them and the kids, toys or whatever, would be flung away. The kids would actually track this thing in the house. They would watch it, would also freak out. And then his wife got pregnant again, and so things really ramped up into a much worse position because now she's dealing with it. She can't take care of the kids at the same time. This thing is now menacing her. So they thought, well, we'll sublet out one of the rooms in the basement, because they've got a lower level, and this will give us extra eyes on things in order to be able to make everybody feel safer. Mm-hmm. As the pregnancy progressed, whatever this was, decided, nope, this dude's got to go. Ooh. And he committed suicide in the basement.
Oh, I'm sorry to
He didn't believe it was going to affect him. He didn't think it was real. He laughed at it. they had pictures. They have pictures of these things. If I can get permission, I'll eventually share them with you so you can see some of the pictures in the home. The thing punched holes in the walls.
Yikes.
Caused him to this guy to commit suicide, and I guess that was it for them. They finally realized we got to get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
The story didn't end there because now this thing's like, nope, you guys aren't getting away.
Oh.
But that's a totally different story, which has nothing to do with pregnancy. Now on the upside, when my wife became pregnant,
mm-hmm.
nothing untoward ever affected her. Nothing came at us because and this is oddly funny because my boys, we have two boys, are gifted with the same inner light I have. Things tend to shy away from them, and because of their inner light. While she was pregnant with him, she was had interesting dreams, slept deeper, etc. Even had some dreams about a lady giving her a baby at one point in time, and it was a very nice dream.
Oh.
So nothing untoward. So the opposite side of things is that there are good things that work out there and protect.
Sure. Yeah.
And
you're right. Those are the
all gloomy.
Those are the kind of paranormal stories that don't get enough airtime too. It's kind of like the news. We focus on the sensational, scary, spooky ones, but there's a lot of really positive paranormal stories out there too. And I guess I should try to focus on that more often too on the show. But thank you for calling in, brother. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you. Have a great night.
All right, man. Take care. All right. So, let's see. I got another call from someone we haven't heard from for a while here. Mr. Naga, you're on the air.
Hey, what's going on, Brent?
Hey, brother. How you been?
Yeah, it's been a while.
It has been a while. It's about time, man. I thought you forgot about us.
No. The wedding and life happens. It is what it is. I was listening in, mm-hmm. and I heard about the I guess the more paranormal side of like the extra side of life on the second half. Mm-hmm. So I just figured I'd call in.
By all means. Definitely
have met a few things. Based on we've spoken a few times before of the training and things of this nature. Actually, it's funny. Recently, the wife has been more forthcoming, I guess. Mm-hmm. She was one of those skeptics. Oh. She was a believer on her own side, but she was very skeptical because she'd never seen physical evidence. Oh, okay. And so we always butted heads on me explaining. I don't have any one personal belief on any subject. I've met many subjects that have many things that pertain to many things. Uh-huh. So I can't subscribe to any one subject that comes to afterlife or things out of the other. And she was always very vague, but I told her, I was like, being vague is actually very interesting because you'd be surprised what you could find. Uh-huh. If you're open-minded.
Absolutely.
She was remember what I was telling you, she's Native American bound on her side,
right,
of her family.
You had mentioned that.
And I took her to a my family originally would be more Catholic based on my side, other than maybe the Japanese Shinto side. But as far as like the Western world, it would be Catholic. And I brought her to a house cleansing the other day. Oh. Just I was as a friendly. I have a friend that was very nice, and he was like, "Hey, he's one of those people. He's very skeptical. He doesn't want to bring. He doesn't want to call the church in. He doesn't want to talk about things. He's very scared that people think he's crazy. So I was like, hey, I understand.
Sure.
I mean, when you start talking about things you can't see, I mean, how many people want to say that you want to? We'll put you on some medication. We'll get you set up. And so I told him, I was like, hey, that's fine. I'll come to your house if I sense anything, or my wife, who's actually more sensitive than even I am, mm-hmm. As skeptical as she is. I told her, I was like, hey, let's go over there to the house. Just let's see what we see. And she was the one that was looking left, right, up and down, and she was freaking out. What's going on? I was like, just spiritual stuff, things that are supposed to be there, that are there. And she was freaking out. And I tried to tell her, it's not normal. It's not normal, but it's not unnormal. It depends on what you want to look at, or how you want to see it. There's the afterlife, there's this life, and sometimes we meet in the middle. Sometimes your life ended in between somebody else's other life, so you might meet in the middle. And she was so freaked out by the energy, and I tried to tell her, it's normal. Just let it go. Just let it happen. It's very strange, but the guy was apparently his father. It was goodwill. They ended up, he wanted to know that his dad was leaving the house. I guess that he was leaving him. Mm-hmm. It was one of those, leaving something. I want to know that my dad's giving to me. It's not just because of paperwork, because of the emotions. And I told him, I was like, I couldn't tell you if that and the other, but there's no ill will as far as I can tell on the land. And he's real happy. But my wife was really, really terrified because walking on, realms that you don't, it's not necessarily realms, but beliefs that you don't necessarily believe in. Mm-hmm. It was a different concept for her. Like, sure, she knew the southern side, but this family happened to be very, very, very Italian. I mean, the most Italians that I've known since I came from Jersey down to the southern states. Great family, but it was one of those first times she ever met a culture outside of what she knew. And it was almost, they were looking at her as like I wouldn't say a witch, but like the outsider that they understood what she did, but they were like, just keep that to the side. Stand over to the left side. We do our thing. And then you can talk about it afterwards. It's very, very funny.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was very interesting because, like, I mean, I have very mixed diversities, and so when me and the family talk, they know that I'm a very skeptical of anything you say. It was very, very interesting. But she came in from a very left field, and they looked at her like she was like the plague, and I kept trying to tell them like that, don't try to kick her out. Just understand she doesn't really quite understand where you're coming from. Uh-huh. But it was a very interesting moment. But it was the first time that Lady Naga like ever actually felt on the level of the energy that I've ever felt. And it was funny because she told me, she was like, "Did you feel that?" And I was like, "Baby, you're not talking anything I don't understand." Yeah. Yes, it's there. It's very, very, very funny.
Very cool.
I told her that hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I'm trying to convince her that, you're one of her favorite shows. So I'm trying to convince her to talk to you guys. So.
Absolutely.
But
she's always welcome.
She's one of those, she has a lot of, it's funny. She's one of those people. She's so skeptical. It's to the point of a detriment. She's had so many moments where I'm like, I try not to influence her because I try not to like go too far because I feel like if you push somebody too far, they try to embellish on their own stories.
Sure.
But she's had so many little individual stories of her own that when she tells me, I'm like, baby, you don't understand. You had so many paranormal little things that have happened in your life. Like, why are you such a skeptical? Like, you've had these things that like, they pretty much have wiped the windshield on the front of your car. Like, outside of asking you for money, like what can they do for you? And she's one of those people. Unless you're literally slamming on the windshield and slamming down and saying, "Hey, look at me," she ignores it.
Right.
She believes in the spiritual side, but she doesn't believe in the physically alteration of how the spiritual world can maneuver that. And I keep trying to tell her it's not just the energy thing. It's a lot of things.
Sure.
Especially if you allow it. And she's just one of those. So that's why when I saw that you guys were talking about tonight, I was like, her grandmother just got diagnosed with leukemia, and I told her, I was like, as sad as it is, she's been healthy to the last couple of years, but her husband just died 2 years ago when me and my wife met. And I told her, I was like, she's been alone and single. And, naturally, most people haven't been around. So she's ready. It sounds kind of gross, I guess, what I would tell people, but she's ready to go.
Sure. Well, I don't think
If I didn't
that's
have
gross.
somebody around, somebody who was with me since day one when we got married, I told her, I was like, you don't have to look at it this way, but you have to see it as she's alone
Mm-hmm.
and she's ready to go.
Sure.
And, it's a weird thing, but it's hard trying to tell somebody, especially when they're emotionally attached. Like, I'm sure if it was the other way around, I'd be fighting her the same way, but trying to tell her that, your grandmother's, first of all, she's mid-80s, which is great for her age. Leukemia, first of all, that's, as far as I've heard, that's about as uncurable as it gets. It's bone marrow. So, she's outside of yourself. Who else is she looking to see and meet?
Right.
So if you're calling her, you're doing the best you can. So, hey, that that's about the best you're going to get, especially in your mid-80s.
Right.
Most people forget about you.
Well,
I mean, it's not the great thing to think so.
But, and when people are ready to go, they're ready to go, and that's. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's just. I mean, we're all going to make that journey.
Absolutely.
So, but I think it's also beneficial that your wife looks at things very skeptically, because I think there's the other side of the spectrum where you got people that want to believe everything's paranormal, and I think that discredits the field just as badly as the worst skeptic, because somebody that says that everything's paranormal when clearly there are other explanations is doesn't lend the field any credibility. So I think it's important to try to debunk things and to look at what are some possible explanations, and to try to figure out mundane reasons for it to be happening first. So but there's a balance.
It gives it both value. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you don't have one, you don't have the other. So I mean, you gotta pursue both sides.
Yeah, absolutely.
I see that.
All right, brother. Well, thank you for calling in, man. It's great to hear from you. I thought you forgot about us, but please tell the missus hello.
Nah, man. It's the internet. It's the internet issues. It's the South Florida problem.
Sure. Well, take care of yourselves down there, and thanks for calling in. And please tell her hello, and give the little one a squeeze from us.
Absolutely.
All right, brother. Take care of yourself.
You too.
All right. Well, that's cool. It's nice to hear from Naga. I haven't heard from him for a while, so good to know he remembers the number. And now I got an email in just as we're doing the show here. This is from Tyler. This is very nice. This is actually his first time writing into the show, so let's see what he's got to say. We're going to put this out there for you guys. It says, late one night, I'm on the verge of falling asleep, but still slightly awake, when I get this urge just to open my eyes. So I did, and after a few seconds of lying there, my cell phone lights up. It doesn't vibrate or make any noise, as it would if I'd gotten a notification. The screen just lit up. I unlocked it, and instead of it being on the home screen, it was in the Photos application, and I noticed a picture in there that I hadn't remembered seeing. So I click on it, and it's a silhouette of someone I have never seen. Dark figure, broad shoulders, longer dirty blonde hair, brushed back, and white dress shirt. No face, no distinct features, just a silhouette in a very dim setting. As I'm realizing that I don't know who this is and that I've never seen this picture, let alone taken it, my television turns on by itself. As soon as I look up at this, you could just feel the energy in the room. To this day, I can't explain what happened or who was trying to contact me that night. That is amazing, Tyler. That is that's all kinds of spooky, brother. So I really appreciate you writing in the story. That's awesome. And I thank you for sharing it with us. And you hear about those stories about people getting these rogue photos, and sometimes you hear the stories of them finding photos of themselves sleeping when they're alone. And that's all kinds of creepy too. So the fact that your TV happened to turn on at that point, yeah, someone was trying to tell you something, brother. So I don't know, but it runs in your family. What do you do? This is Tyler's actually Deb's grandson. So very cool. And thank you for writing it in. And I hope to hear a lot more from you. And please stay in touch with us at the portal. Awesome story. I really just absolutely adore that you guys are writing in these stories and sharing them with us, because it just lends such a more complete show to me. again, it's fine. I can find stories on to share with you guys, and I can find accounts and subjects, and I can bring in guests. But when you guys contribute those stories, it just adds such a whole new level to the show, and I'm just loving it. So you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, and all of you tonight that wrote in, Uriah and Lady and Tyler, and who was the other one? Uriah, Christy. That's right. Yep. Christy is the other one. So you guys have been awesome. Thank you for sending in your stories and being a part of the show. So we got about 5 minutes before the last break of the show already. My God, the time just flies. It's so quick. What do you do? I don't know. Let's get to some more spookiness here in the portal and see what we can find. So I found this story, and I thought that one's really long. I'm not going to try to read that one. That one's really short. Is there one in the middle? Because I got 5 minutes. Yeah, I think I can get through this. So let's see if I can. Oh, Jesus. There we go. No. What the hell? It's locking up. Okay. This one's called The TV Ghost. This happened when I was around 5. It was a normal day in my house. My mother was fixing me lunch, and my dad was at work. I was just sitting at the table in the dining room, waiting for my mom to get finished fixing me a sandwich. A few minutes later, she handed it to me and then walked off, going to clean. The dining room was next to the den. In the den was an old TV. Oh, this is funny. This is going to go along with your story, Tyler. Was an old TV and my toys, but TV didn't work, and it was really old. I was just eating my lunch when the TV randomly cuts on by itself. Again, the TV didn't work, and no one has ever used it, so this was new to me. I looked at the TV a bit surprised, so I got up from the table and turned it off, shrugged my shoulders, not thinking much about it, and continued to eat. Again, the TV cuts on, but this time it was just static. I was a really paranoid kid and seeing a lot of crazy, scary movies at my age. I started to get paranoid and slowly walked towards the TV, turning it off again. I sat down at the table, trying to hurry up with my lunch, when it again immediately turns on again. I threw away my plate and ran to my mom, telling her about the TV. She just looked at me and smiled while walking over to the TV. She told me that it was old and it was likely to do that. Being the kid, I was never believed by her and grew up in my house thinking there was a ghost. I'm almost 13 now and past all of that today. Well, sounds like Don's house. Don's got the ghost TV at his house that kind of just decides to turn on whenever it wants to. Isn't that right, Don? But anyway, if you're hearing the sound of my voice and you haven't already, I like to throw this out a few times during the show because I think it's really important to get the word out there. Please let people know about the Paranormal Portal and let them know if you like the show, if you like what you're hearing. Spread the word. We got a grassroots movement going, and it's growing pretty amazingly. I don't pay for advertising at all, and I just, hopefully word of mouth is going to bring us into, whatever it's going to become, but it's growing so fast, and you guys have been so incredibly supportive and wonderful, and I can't thank you enough for that. But, if you belong to any groups that deal with the paranormal or have any friends or whatever, let them know about the show, and hopefully they'll like it just as much as you do. But also make sure to stop by YouTube. We just got a couple minutes before break, so I'm just going to fill it with fluffy stuff here. Stop by YouTube, make sure to subscribe, and make sure if you're in the YouTube now watching the video that you're liking it. I want you guys to smash that like button and let them know, because, and it's it's good to see people are liking the video, so it does serve my ego a little bit, like, oh, people liked it, good. But it also does help YouTube to promote the video, because if a video gets likes, then of course they're more apt to recommend it for other people to watch, and when people search for subjects and stuff. So it really does serve a purpose other than feeding my ego, believe it or not. But it's, good for both ways, good for both reasons. And subscribe, like, and share. If you want to share the video links anywhere, please feel free. I don't mind whether you want to share the whole episode or just, I don't know if you can share just pieces of it. I don't know. Maybe that's possible, but I don't know if there's a tag, and you can put in a tag with some timeline code and it'll just pull a part of an episode. I don't know. Just saying, I don't have any problem with you guys using the video to show people that you want to see it. And we are on Facebook, ladies and gentlemen, so you can always stop by Facebook, facebook.com/Paranormal Portal Radio. And we are on Twitter at Paranormal Portal, PORTL. And we're on WeMe now. WeMe is a new social media that's kind of coming up, and people seem to be liking it, and a lot of people are gravitating that way from Facebook because a lot of people are sick of all of the censorship and Facebook deciding what is okay for you to see and what is not okay for you to see, or what kind of opinions you're allowed to have. And so a lot of people are migrating away from that. And so we do have a WeMe page as well. And I think it's just Brent Thomas. I don't have a Paranormal Portal page there yet, but I'll learn more about WeMe and maybe get one of those made. But anyway, we're going to take our last break of the night, and we'll be back for more of this paranormal mayhem. Don't go away.
This is Elizabeth McCabe, aka Lucky One of Truth Frequency.
welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the last half hour of our show tonight. It's just flown by, of course. It always does here on the portal, but it's a time vortex as well as a paranormal portal, so you just never know. I know it just flies, though, every day. I can't believe it's like I just started introducing the show, and the next thing you do, the end is near. It's just crazy. But I'm glad you're here with me, burning the midnight oil. Thank you so much for being a part of the show, and thank you to all the listeners who sent in emails again. That was awesome. Excellent. And thank you to the callers, Ian and Naga. It was good to hear from you guys. And let's continue with our paranormal material for the evening. So we covered a lot about the pregnancies, and now we're just moving into just normal paranormal stories. Well, I don't know if there is any such thing as a normal paranormal story, but you know what I'm saying. So this story is Hellhound. And I don't know, I read through this before. You can be the judge. I didn't know. I don't know. It seems to be open to interpretation, but I'll read it anyway. Before I begin my tale, I'm not good at retelling stories, which is a great first sentence of your story. I know this would be a pleasure to read. I'm going to love reading this. Oh, my God. I'm not that religious. I know and feel that someone from the great beyond is keeping an eye on me, since I have had a few close calls with oncoming vehicles, but this is not my tale. No, this is a story my friend once told me. Excuse me. For the sake of confidentiality, we'll give him the letter J to omit his name. Now, we all know that the television show Supernatural is nothing more than hooey. That's funny, I've been binge watching that with my wife when I got free time in the evenings. So it's nothing more than hooey. Wouldn't we all like to believe that there's just two brothers fighting monsters that no one wants to believe goes bump in the night? Ha ha ha. I would love to agree as well if I had not heard tales from my family and friends about their experiences with the unnatural races of our world. One tale in particular is about hellhounds. All right, the date and time of this story is but a blur to me, since I was half dazed from lack of sleep and a large amount of caffeine coursing through my veins. Jay is like the other skater kids, the talk, the beanie or hat, the jacket, you name it, from then on. Now, there were a few times where I would accompany this kid to the skate park only to sketch and doodle in a doodle pad on my tablet. All was going in good fun until Jay walked over to the rest and dug through a backpack for a drink. Then he said, "You like the TV show Supernatural, huh?" My response was subtle and short enough, but that he continued on, saying that he had his own version of a black dog sighting. In the show, the term for hellhound is black dog. Well, no, we've been watching the show and they call them hellhounds. But they're invisible, so I don't know. This caught my attention, so I set my app to a more suitable background. The conversation goes on like a practical joke before he gets into his story. He starts out with his evening of lazily coasting on a skateboard down a sloped street in his neighborhood. As he progresses with his tale, he said that he saw a piece of the street sticking up like a huge speed bump. He ventured over to it slowly, unsure what the mound would have been. Before he got near the mound, it lifted its head. He said that it had no color to detail since it was dark, and now dog-like mound was camouflaged against the asphalt. He claimed that this thing wasn't part of the street but looked like a dark haze. Jay had said that he backed up slowly as the black dog stood up facing him. He heard it growl in a low sound that most dogs would make, but he said the eyes of this dog were shining like red-hot coals. He even said that he had mentally thought about running away since this dog was a threat to his life. This incident had been disrupted when his neighbor's car ran through this dog. He said that the neighbor stepped out of the car and looked around the street while also inspecting the front of the vehicle, then back to Jay before asking, "Dude, was that your dog?" He asked in a frightful tone before Jay shook his head in response. Oy, this is just... I don't know why it doesn't want to scroll. It's problematic, ladies and gentlemen. As Jay was about to finish the story, he said that he had seen the dog before the car had hit it, turn into dust, or in his way it just disappeared from sight. After that day being skeptical, I had been looking for books on his tale. Some say that they will lie in wait for an unfortunate soul to cross their path. But he just said that this one was probably angry. He disturbed its nap before it met the grill of someone's car. As I said, I'm not very religious, but to hear someone claiming that hell is real and that there are human soul collectors on 4 legs in our world makes me want to pray a little harder before going to bed at night. Yeah, I feel you. That would be a little spooky. But those kind of dogs, I don't know. I've heard them called hellhounds as well. The black dogs, glowing red eyes, and always a foul temperament. I've never seen one myself, thank God. But I guess this one is a really short one. It's called The Shadow. One night, me and my sister are in bed around 3 o'clock. I imagine it's 3 a.m. I'm sleeping, and my sister couldn't sleep, so she felt like she was being watched. So she looks over to me to see if I'm looking at her, but she sees a shadow standing over me. She falls deep in fear, looking at the shadow, and then it vanishes. Apparently, I wasn't breathing during this strange visit. We haven't seen this shadow since, so I'm not worried. Kinda. He ends the story with kinda. I love it. Now this one's a long one. No, this one's not that long. I guess it's the one before this. I'm a 20-year-old woman from Ohio, more specifically an unincorporated town called Cable. The population is less than 100. Our only claims to fame are a crybaby bridge and the fact that Lincoln's funeral train went through Cable. I go out driving with friends at night, and we were driving one summer night with my windows down, so I didn't waste gas using the air conditioner. My childhood friend rode shotgun, and a mutual friend was in the back. It was around midnight when we turned onto what was once Cable's resident crybaby bridge. The girl in the back, let's call her Deidre, pointed out that she heard a screaming baby. My childhood friend, who I'll call Lilith, heard it too. When it hit my ears, it sounded like a mix between the piercing cry of a baby suffering from colic and the caterwaul of a demon from the darkest crotch of hell. This is crotch of hell. Oh, that's hilarious. My hearing is much more sensitive, so when I heard it, I screamed in pain and nearly went into a patch of blackberries. It took me a while to regain my composure. I reluctantly elected to investigate. We heard the screaming coming from the center of the road. I put my hazards on and got out. When we reached the source of the screaming, Deidre and Lilith took one look and screamed. I collapsed and vomited like I had swallowed emetic poison. Wow, I've never even heard of emetic poison, E-M-E-T-I-C. In the middle of the road, there were the mangled remains of a newborn baby. I'd seen enough splatter films to know that the infant looked like it had been chopped to pieces by a passing train. The screaming continued for a half hour. I was beginning to have a breakdown. By the time the screaming had stopped, Deidre and Lilith had to drag my sobbing, incoherent, babbling, 240-pound form to my Saturn to put me in the back seat. After a trip to the sheriff's department to report it, and getting laughed at, we ended up staying the night at my house. I had to attend trauma counseling for a while after that incident. Now I avoid that road whenever possible. If you find yourself in Cable, don't drive at midnight. Yeah, that's horrible. I don't even know what to say to that. Eesh. That's all kinds of creepy, but you gotta love the crotch of hell. I've never heard that before, but that's killing me. It's not like from the arm of hell, it's from the crotch of hell. That's got to be a terrible place, that's all I'm saying. All right, I'm here. I'm getting back into it. I would like to say this goes to heart, since my native people hold this as high superstition, but our elders know otherwise. Being born Navajo, you hear stories claiming that the Yanni YANI, came by last night and caused a ruckus near my place, and the same with my sister, cousin, etc., and her family. I never put much stock into the story told by my brothers that if I don't behave myself, it will come and get me. Sure, here and there, some reservation kids would make jokes saying that I know an uncle or aunt that made a deal with one of them to kill their family member whom lived about 40 minutes from them. No, this is with a faint heart that I tell you this tale. I was taken away by social services at a young age and had recently returned before the summer of 2015. I was skeptical to hear that my mother, being a strong-willed woman, had a nightly visitor. I don't like saying the word SK whatever, I don't know, since it's a great taboo word in our family. On my arrival to my mother's house out in the boonies in California, I won't give a location of the place nor my current residence. My mother would say, stay indoors at night. It's not good to always be walking around in our front yard. You might attract them to you. Now, knowing that some people would say this guy might be able to give us further information on these creatures, don't count on it. It's also not good to go about talking about them to others, since they too could be skinwalkers. Oh, that's the SK word, skinwalkers. Gotcha. I don't know, I'm a little dense. Believe me, they are in every part of the country, mostly the reservations, and some might be by your local Mexican friends, uncle or aunt, not being offensive or subjugating that a specific race have these people. There is lore from other countries that have their own story of these things. It was in May of 2017, before I moved with my mom to another place in Arizona, that our nightly visitor made more appearances, and the months before that. They are attracted to people whom are doing good for themselves. They even go to great lengths to try and ruin that run of good luck by cursing those people. On some occasions during my nightly walks about the yard, mostly to check on the dog and see if the water dish was full, I would sometimes get an odd feeling, like something was watching me from a good distance. I wouldn't blame that, since the train always rolled by every 6 hours like clockwork near us. There would be sounds of brushing hands along our walls outside of the house around midnight every day. Then some nights they would sometimes be talking in silent chatter that no one could hear. Our dog would always be asleep. Asleep? Yes, they sprinkle some weird dust on them to get the advantage into your home. No matter if the doors are like Fort Knox tight, some way they can unlock them. My mother calls them gifted people that turn to a very dark path. They aren't invincible, mind you. No, they can bleed just like you or me. The only problem is they're still human. So during one night, my mother was watching a TV in her room, and I was in the living room doing the same while also washing the dishes. It was around 11:45 in the evening, and I heard this as clear as day from outside the house. Son, come here. At first I looked down the hallway to my mother's room to see if her door was open. It was closed. I quickly dried my hands and walked down to the narrow hall past my room. I hated that room. It was cramped and felt off to me. I had knocked on my mother's door and asked to be let in. As I entered, my mother looked to me from the bed. I had asked if she summoned me, our way of making a joke. She denied ever calling me, and it hit me right then. Someone was trying to lure me outside and witch me. It says, and witch me, W-I-T-C-H me. Now, being the weary one in the family, I decided to check if the doors were locked, and the dog was chained and unfortunately asleep again. I checked the area around the house through the windows, and I swear I saw someone in the shadows staring back at me. Or it could have been my imagination, since I like to stay up late at night. I closed the blinds and drew the curtains shut before turning off the TV and went to lay down in my mom's room. Now, this wasn't the only time this happened. The night before we were to move in with my brother and his wife, we had an unexpected visit which resulted in the continuous need to get inside the house. The funny thing was, in a story My mother told me the gifted people like to use the wind so they can get from one place to another. It seemed to use the wind as a diversion to mask the attempts of jiggling the doorknob. I had kept a secure padlock on the back door that was left on the outside since it was a great idea at the time. that and we lived where some people could come in and try to rob the place. The wind was blowing hard that night, and every minute that door was being beaten by these huge gusts. The visitor was trying to get in while also messing with the padlock. My mother had woken me, and when she heard this and said to keep very quiet and just listen. I had only just fallen asleep 2 hours before this, and this had happened, and hearing it brought me to 100% awareness. My mother started praying in her Navajo tongue for protection, and I sat upright staring at the back door, only to notice that the wind had stopped and the door had stopped jiggling. I looked to my mother. She had finished and looked to me before saying, "We'll be okay until your brother comes today and takes us to his house." Ooh, that's all kinds of creepy, wrong, and weird. Now, I don't know a lot about the skinwalkers. I know the legendary tales to some degree. What are they? Are they, I guess they're still human, but they seem to have quite a bit of ability that defies our common logic, I guess. But are they magical? Are they are they some kind of dark shaman? Are they gifted with some other ability? I don't know. Very strange, though. All right. This is another story. Sometimes I see it out of the corner of my eye, a flash black running across the room, and I turn my head to see, and it's gone. I hear it in other rooms and in my house when I am alone, and it doesn't sound like a dog. I feel it at the corner of my room in the dark, just beyond my line of sight, in the shadows. Oh my goodness, we got a call. Let me get to that. All right, 337, you're on the air.
Hey, Brent, it's Lady Death.
Oh, hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I was just calling in to tell you a quick story.
Oh, please do. I saw there was a call. I'm like, wait, I can read this another time. So take it away, Lady Death.
All right. This happened in a house. It was a new construction home that I moved into as a teenager with my parents. Mm-hmm. And one night I was in my room trying to sleep, and it was pitch black. I had a blackout shade in my room. And me and my brother had a Jack and Jill bathroom between our bedrooms. So it was possible for somebody to come into my room without letting any light. Mm-hmm. And I saw a dark figure standing next to my bed. And I thought it was either my brother or one of his friends. And so I reached out to touch it to see who was there. And no one was there. My hand went right through it. Oh. And so the next day I told my mom, and she said we should hang a rosary in my room. And that was it. Just a short story.
Now, you got to tell me, though, now, how did it feel? Did you notice any physical sensation to it? Was it cold? Was there any feeling of, like, energy when you reached out to touch it?
No, not that I remember. Okay. I mean, it felt like nothing was there. Okay. I was younger then, so I wasn't really into the paranormal much. So
sure,
I probably didn't think too much into it like that. Just freaked me out.
Yeah, you were just looking for something solid, and when that wasn't there, it just got all kinds of creepy. I got you. But you always hear those stories, right? When people walk through spirits or they believe that they're being touched by a spirit, they always remark that it's so cold and they can feel that coldness, and some people comment that there's like a static feeling to it. So I was just curious if that was your experience as well. But yeah, if you were younger.
Well, I always slept with a giant box fan pointed at my face, so, I mean, there's no telling.
Oh, yeah, I'm with you. I love to have something wind blowing over me when I'm sleeping, too. I just get way too stuffy otherwise. Yeah. No, that's a cool story, and thank you. Personally, let me just thank you for all the times you've emailed in as well. It's been really wonderful sharing your stories and your experiences because, you know, they're just so phenomenal. And I'm just absolutely thrilled with that vampire story that you sent in. And again, it's because they're so hard to find any kind of real testimonials about it, because all you end up running into is these, you know, the goth counterculture vampire people or whatever. So that was awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I have a friend whose mother definitely believes in vampires, and I never really asked her why. And I'm going to have to ask her next time I'm in Florida why she has such a strong belief in them.
Oh, please do. I'd love to hear what her experiences are. That'd be awesome. And of course, she can be anonymous, but I just want to know, because it's something that is absolutely compelling to me, but it's also something that I can't find anything on other than really, really distant lore from the distant past, or, just the counterculture is all that I seem to find anymore.
Right. I used to have a book by Aleister Crowley. It was called The Occult Truth, and I think it had a lot, Vampires, The Occult Truth, and it had a lot of stuff in it. My parents took it away. I was a teenager then. I don't know. I'd like to find the book again and check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. If you get a hold of that, let me know too. I just love it. So absolutely. And thank you so much for calling in.
My pleasure. Have a good night.
All right. Good night to you. And thanks again.
My pleasure.
Very cool. This has been a great night for participation, ladies and gentlemen. I just love it. I'm just getting all tingly here. So now I'm going to try to read this. Let's see, 4 minutes. I think I can do it. So they were talking about seeing a black flash out of the corner of the eye. Turn the head to see it, and it's gone. I hear it in other rooms in my house when I'm home alone, and it doesn't sound like the dog. I feel it in the corner of my room, in the dark, just beyond my line of sight, in the shadows. I feel it behind me as I walk up the stairs. I feel it in the room when I close my eyes and when I'm alone. I feel it in the dark corners just behind the curtains and just outside my window. I know it is there. I'm not crazy. And this isn't just made up, or it's not some pathetic attempt at creepypasta. No, it's all too real to me. From the time I was a kid, I always knew there was something there. Back then, it manifested in ways I could see and hear very clearly. It would move my things. It would haunt my dreams. It would stand over me and watch me in the darkness while I played or while I slept. It was a shadow, somewhat like a man, but blurry all around the edges. As I got older, the vision crept to the back of my mind. And I thought surely it had gone away. I forgot about it for a time until it came back. Home alone, dog is with my father at work, cat lying on the foot of the bed, and I can hear the creaking of the floorboards just above me. Scared, I grab my knife and walk slowly towards the stairs, and up the stairs, and search the whole upper floor. But there's no one there, nothing there. Other times when the electronics are taken over by it. The lights turn on and off on their own. The TV will turn back on after you turn it off, again and again, until eventually I just mute it and leave it on. The radio will turn on, my alarm, and rather than any music playing, it will be a loud screeching, white noise that haunts me to alert awakeness. All other times when I'm not alone, these things do not occur. I hear it walking, I hear it moving things in other rooms. I hear music and chimes and ticks and clanks of things that are sitting still and found where I left them. I can almost see it before it disappears. It chases me through the house because I can feel it right behind me as I walk. I sprint up the stairs and I run through the dark basement to my room. I sprint to my room and slam the door. The thing is, it's not just an idle fear. It's actually there. It's real. At times, even now, it will haunt my dreams. I have horrible nightmares, the likes of which cause me to awaken in panic and turn on all my lights. When I awake, I feel it in the shadows watching me. It continues to watch me unless I get up and turn on the overhead light, where it disappears. The feeling of the thing is palpable. I know when it is there and when it is gone. It's not always around. It's not even always around when I'm alone. Only when I'm at home, and only sometimes. I'm not prone to being easily scared. I don't have any medical conditions that cause me to hallucinate. I'm not crazy. Whatever is haunting me has been doing so for my whole life. I am the only one that sees it and hears it and knows when it is around, but my family can feel it the same way that I can. At least my brother can, and that's why he always leaves the light on in his room. next to mine in the basement. I think in ways he fears it more than I do. Whatever it is, I know it's real. I don't know what it wants or why it follows me. I don't even know what it is, but it is there. And ladies and gentlemen, that will conclude tonight's edition of the Paranormal Portal. We made it. We did it. You made it. You lasted the whole episode. So thank you so much for being here. Remember to stick around for Jimmy Jean Into the Microcosm if you're listening on iHeart, TuneIn, TalkStream, or TFR Live. Love you all. Be good and kind to each other, and we'll be back tomorrow night for more of the Paranormal Portal with Don and Naysay. Take care, everybody. Be good, and I'll see you tomorrow night.